Good evening. Welcome to Central Synagogue. I'm Rabbi Sarah Berman, Director of Jewish Culture and Programming, and it is really an honor to have you all here with us tonight. Tonight we're going to be hearing from, about, and with the Adir Challenge. Now, the founder of the Adir Challenge, Morielle Lotan, came to us early in the year by way of our friend, our board member, Jenny Sharfstein-Kane. We've been talking about this program, this opportunity to combat anti-Semitism in a way that is empowering, a way that is effective, a way that responds to the world around us. We've been talking about this for most of the year, waiting for just the right time to bring this to all of you. And now, as we enter our Chanukah season, this is our opportunity to create a light in the darkness together. We're surrounded by the literal darkness outside, as well as the darkness of war, of loss, of anti-Semitism. And here we gather in the light of this space, the light of this creative approach, the light of innovation, both Morielle's and that of the teams who will be hearing from tonight, the light of wisdom of our judges, including our central member, Jenny Sharfstein-Kane, and the wisdom that you carry with you, through which we will be granting a $10,000 prize to one of the teams this evening. We're basking in the light of empowerment. Empowerment that we don't just have to accept anti-Semitism, that there's something that we can do about it, finally. So tonight, you will hear from Morielle and her colleagues. You will hear from creative teams here and abroad. And at the end of the evening, you will have a chance to vote. So make sure your cell phone is handy when we get to the end of the evening, at which point our staff will help you access our voting website so that your voice can be heard. And we will next hear from Morielle, who we will invite up to our bima after a very short video.
23-year-old Israeli-American Adir Mesika. His family says he died a hero, protecting the people that he loved that were with him. Adir was at the festival with his girlfriend and other close friends, and when they heard the rocket sirens, they ran. They drove to a nearby bomb shelter. Then Adir and one of his friends, in realizing that Hamas terrorists were attacking those who were sheltering, they told the others to hide and stay behind, and went out unarmed to charge the gunmen. They were killed. Some of their friends survived, rescued hours later by Israeli forces.
Adir and I connected a lot around technology and innovation, and he wanted to do something with his life that involved like figuring out how to solve big problems and making the world a better place, because that's who he was.
And his legacy may do just that.
And that's the goal of a new initiative called the Adir Challenge.
The Adir Challenge.
The Adir Challenge.
The Adir Challenge.
We're in a black and white moment, and we are in a moment of positioning ourselves on right versus wrong.
If new tech can be used to promote anti-Semitism, surely it can also be used to fight it.
The mission is to innovate the combat of anti-Semitism and hate. It was clear that we are at a lag, and we needed something at scale, and we needed something that the Jewish mind is excellent at.
It's an automated system which finds anti-Semitic Twitter posts online using AI.
Building community-centric technology.
A platform to streamline reporting process for anti-Semitic and hate crime activities on college campuses and in the world.
Adir team, the Adir Foundation, has been so supportive over the past few months.
We are grateful for the Adir Challenge because we know we cannot do it alone.
We're part of the first ever Israeli-American entrepreneurship course.
We understand that we can be part of the change.
Yay!
So my hope is that the challenge will go on and be a real-life lab that iterates and scales to play offense and ultimately to win.
You are already making a difference, and I'm congratulating you on this, and together we can make something great.
I think it's fair to say that the status quo of our society is fundamentally failing the Jewish community. And now more than ever, We need disruptors and innovators who are willing to challenge the status quo, who are willing to stand up to anti-Semitism.
Good evening. For the past 436 days, as we've worked to turn pain into purpose, I've asked myself, what can we do with all this pain? I wish we weren't meeting here tonight. I wish life hadn't been shattered on October 10th, when we learned my nephew, Adir Mesika, had been murdered by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival. These are the cards we've been dealt. While Adir was the catalyst for this foundation and a significant part of my why, the alarming speed of anti-Semitism's resurgence, coupled with the realization that we are fighting with a slingshot while the enemy employs technologically advanced weapons, that adds a deeply sinister element to this fight. And still the question remains, how do we respond? I am not a psychologist like my sister Shiri, Adir's mother, who is channeling her unimaginable pain into healing soldiers through surf therapy. I am not a jeweler like my brother-in-law Alon. They're both sitting in the room tonight, who has now donated over 155 engagement rings to soldiers, building Jewish lives in Israel as an act of resilience and hope. I'm an entrepreneur. My work focuses on identifying problems, uncovering gaps, and creating pathways to solve complex challenges. In part, my career has been shaped by studying international security, strategic surprises, and intelligence failures. Strategic surprises occur when we fail to adapt, leading to long-term harm. Intelligence failures happen when we miss key signals, fail to ask the right questions, and are caught unprepared. Sound familiar? I don't know about you, but after October 7th, I realized we were witnessing not one, but two failures, not only in Israel, but here at home in the United States. While the world focused on Israel's intelligence breakdown, we saw a parallel failure on US college campuses and in our society. For decades, the signals were there. Our enemies were building a deliberate, tech-driven campaign to spread hate at scale. Yet we were unprepared, outnumbered, underfunded, and late to the arena. So what do we do now? How do we turn this pain into purpose? At the Adir Challenge Foundation, we believe the answer lies in tech-driven innovation to combat anti-Semitism and hate. We source, incubate, and develop solutions and support the teams that lead this mission. Innovation is the creation of new ideas, methods, and tools to solve unmet needs. Combating anti-Semitism requires nothing less. This isn't just a Jewish issue. Anti-Semitism is a national and international security issue, one that demands the attention of anyone who values life and civilization. At Adir, we draw on the private sector, technology, and a startup mindset to design short and long-term solutions. Like a startup, we move fast, iterate quickly, fail forward, and scale what works. Tonight, we are proud to show you some of what we've built. Adir is intentionally lean to remain agile, a fighter jet, complementing the larger aircraft carriers of the Jewish world. We don't compete with these organizations. We complement them and fill the gaps that they cannot address. I'll be honest, we don't have all the answers. Don't believe anyone that says they do. Yet. But we believe we've built a vehicle capable of finding them. This evening is deeply personal. I am honored to have Adir's parents, my sister Shiri, and my brother-in-law Alon with us. Alongside my parents, Adir's grandparents, my sister, my husband, and close family and friends. Our strength comes from one another, and tonight, I feel that this community is expanding. My nephew had a unique connection with each of us. He and I bonded over entrepreneurship. Once, while working on his resume, I asked him, what's the DNA of who you are now, shaped by your military service? Not an easy question for a soldier who can't really share a lot about his Secret Service discuss. He paused and said, you know what, Morielle? People knew that if you gave me a big problem, I would figure out what to do. Just like the meaning of his name. Adir means mighty and strong, just like he is and was, and just like we are required to be. That spirit drives the work at our foundation. Shortly after his burial, my co-founder and former head of prize design at X Prize, Dr. Shai Hershkovitz, helped craft our thesis. We saw that innovation in combating anti-Semitism was sorely lacking, and we set out to change that. Since then, we launched our first Open Innovation Challenge, engaging over 15,000 people and ultimately inspiring 420 innovators from 25 countries around the world to submit ideas and propose solutions to tackle this epidemic. Excuse me. We've awarded grants and provided mentorship to teams working on deep tech solutions, including machine learning and legal technologies that analyze freedom of speech laws to identify and prosecute cases of incitement to violence. Other teams have developed virtual reality tools, generative AI models, and even psychology and technology solutions. We've issued grants to early-stage innovators and provided hundreds of hours of mentorship to teams in need. We've created clusters of solutions and connected teams globally to reduce redundancy and amplify their impact. Recently, we've even completed a pilot entrepreneurship course offered free of charge to college students in the US, alongside Israeli students in Israel, and Ivy League universities are now joining our efforts. We've also established a lab to support pre-existing projects that need tech expertise and mentorship to progress. This lab leverages Israeli startup expertise to develop solutions that directly address the problems we face on the ground. All of this work is founded on rigorous gap analysis research to inform decision-making and illuminate areas where technology has the chance to move the needle. None of this would have been possible without our early champions, donors, mentors, anyone who opened a door, hosted a parlor meeting, made an introduction, those who believed in our mission and in our team, and I am grateful. Tonight, you'll meet 3 remarkable teams, tackling different aspects of campus life and working rigorously to make sure that students can not only report events seamlessly, but that communities can be mobilized and help them both online and offline. Our first team will appear in person, while the other 2 will be joining us via Zoom. Between the prices of flights at the moment and their extended Miluim reserve service, our Israeli teams had a harder time being here in person, but they are with us nonetheless, and if you look at your watches, it's at crazy hours of the day. But they both said mission first, and that sleep was overrated. These teams exemplify collaboration, innovation, and action. They exemplify the best of humanity, and we are lucky to work alongside them and helping them in any way we can. And tonight, you too will be able to help them as you become the Shark Tank judges. I know all 3 teams will leave tonight with new connections and a larger community. Finally, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Jenny for introducing us to Rabbi Sarah Berman and to the entire Central Synagogue team for hosting us in this beautiful space. To our guests from Israel, including our team's tech mentor, Tal Schneider, who's right back there, fresh from his Miluim service in Israel, thank you for your dedication. And to my team, who not only put up with me, but gave their time and hearts to this mission, thank you. The measure of a resilient society isn't whether it faces failure. It's how quickly and effectively it recovers. At Adir, we are building strategies rooted in innovation, collaboration, and impact. Because hopelessness is not an action plan. Tonight, I hope you leave inspired, with your hearts a little lighter, your minds a little more curious about what we can achieve when we work together to innovate the combat of anti-Semitism and hate. Thank you. And now I am thrilled to introduce you to our guest speaker and one of the Adir judges, who is a distinguished expert in counterterrorism, radicalization, anti-Semitism, and global far-right extremism. As the head of the anti-Semitism desk at Reichman University's International Institute for Counterterrorism, she's been a visiting professor with leading institutions like Yale University and currently at Brandeis, earning recognition for her groundbreaking research and leadership. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Liram Koblenz-Stenzler, who will be sharing her insights about the world of the problem and why technological innovation is so critical to this arena.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, really, Morielle, for giving me this platform, this place. Really, it's incredible to stand here in front of people that really believe in the way we do, in combating anti-Semitism through technology. Thank you. So I would like to start with a short story. October 8th, last year, just a day after the barbaric terror attack launched by Hamas, I was standing in front of my class at Yale University, teaching a seminar on anti-Semitism and terrorism. The topic on my syllabus that day was the Holocaust. I remember sitting at my desk, asking myself, how do I face these students, knowing only one of them is Jewish, and explain what happened on October 7? How do I describe this horrific attack in a way that helps them understand the gravity of the moment while ensuring my words do not lead to complaints or misunderstanding with the university? Next slide, please. So when I arrived to campus, I saw the hatred did not wait. It never does. Graffiti, Free Palestine, and the Star of David crossed out. These symbols marked what was about to come, even before it truly unfolded. I remind you, this was the day after the attack, before Israel invaded to Gaza Strip in its war against Hamas. At that moment, the world, even if not university campuses, still felt united in solidarity with Israel, mourning alongside us. For a brief moment, it felt as though the global community really understood their pain. But then, as Israel did what any nation would, defend its citizens by declaring war on Hamas, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, we became the aggressors in the court of public opinion. But it didn't surprise me. As a counterterrorism researcher, I've spent years monitoring online platforms, including alternative platforms and the dark web, to understand how extremism festers and spreads. What I've observed since October 7 is deeply alarming. Emerging of far-right and far-left ideologies. These ideologies may have different goals, but they share a common thread of hatred. One, the far right, the hatred is classic anti-Semitism, rooted in racist ideology. and they believe the Jews are an internal enemy. The far left does not hate Jews per se, but despise Zionism, viewing Israel as the ultimate oppressor. This merging of ideologies is dangerous and is clearly reflected in online spaces. You can move the next slide. So here, for example, we can see a board of white supremacy activists. At the first post, it's written, but I'm supposed, you see, to feel bad when you see what they do. And at the bottom of the same post, they talk about the fact they stand with Palestine and they want to see total kaik death. And you know what kaik means, I guess. You can even see suggestion for a new social media avatar that combines the Palestinian flag with the swastika. The bottom post says they want to reach the deaths of 1488 Jews. The number 14 is a very central slogan that was coined by a white supremacist, and the number 88 stands for Heil Hitler. Also see the hashtag they distribute there. And I would like now to show you a short video. In just 30 seconds, you can see how the narrative has shifted since October 7th, blending hatred for Jews with hostility through the Jewish state, erasing the distinction between criticism of Israel and outright anti-Semitism. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay, apparently the video do not work, I'm sorry. So I can't show you. But what I wanted to show you is that they're stepping on Israeli flag while shouting death to the Jewish. So that's the problem here. We see the blend of ideology. And the statistic paint is even show us a grimmer picture. From October to December 2023, anti-Semitic discourse on social media surged by more than 200%. Violent content rose dramatically by more than 1,000%. Next slide, please. Extremists explode the capabilities of video game platforms like Odyssey and DLive to interact with young users. They spread their message of hate against Jewish people. And you can see here, right, what they are writing. There is an option to expel the Jews from your land. That's part of a video game. That's what they do. Not also, but they understand that people are after them. Security agencies are monitoring them. So they continually adjust their tactic using coded language, intentionally misspelling words, as you can see here. Next slide, please. Or using video game terminology to plain a text and evade dictation by security agencies, right? So you can see here is they're talking about the ZOG, the Zionist-occupied government. That's really good. That's the highest and most noble virtue. So you can see what they want to achieve. Next slide, please. Recognizing the growing importance of AI, they claim it is manipulated by Jews and attempt to bypass this by developing their own AI models within alternative platforms that they created or migrate, since they less regulated. These models are often used to create uncensored posts and memes, which they spread on mainstream platforms such as TikTok, X, even LinkedIn. They are trying to spread propaganda to target the Jewish people or Israel. Next slide, please. For instance, and you can see this slide, they created a meme featuring the Houthis, an Iranian proxy, and they circulated it widely on social media platforms like TikTok and X. So what you can see here is Jackson Hicks' account, and this meme gained over 1 million views only in 2 weeks. And I remind you, they created it in their own social media platforms. Next slide, please. These extremists also reveal personal information about Jewish individuals to incite fear and harassment. Next slide. Some live stream their hate, gathering followers to raid social media profiles with abusive messages. And raids are coordinated to begin at a specific time, typically announced by the individual leading the raid, and they conclude at a certain time. They often involve many participants, primarily followers of the person initiating a raid. I wanted to show you a video with a raid, how it looks like, but since we can't, I will just describe you what's in it. So in the video, you can see an individual targeting a random Jewish teenager, engaging in conversation with the aim of acquiring his Snapchat details to initiate a raid. This individual live streamed the conversation, and he allows his followers to watch and participate in the raid afterwards. The chat displayed in the screen is private, and the targeted individual can see it. So the chat really full of slurs against this innocent boy, and the way this person tried to intimidate him, it's awful. I said to my kids, you'll never use this kind of apps. The challenge we face is significant. Hate is evolving, leveraging technology to spread faster and hit harder. We can't turn back the clock, but we can confront this with innovation and resilience. That's where the Adir Challenge steps in. I had the privilege of serving as a judge for this groundbreaking competition, and I was really inspired by the brilliance it brought. So many participants, some weren't even Jewish. They proposed solutions that spanned a very, very wide spectrum. A communication platform for Jewish students on campuses, a video game designed to educate players about anti-Semitism, AI system capable of identifying individuals in the early stages of radicalization. For me, the Adir Challenge is much more than just a competition. It's a call to action. It's even a global movement. By bringing people together and using the power of cutting-edge technology, it offers a proactive approach to combating anti-Semitism and hate in all its forms. Tonight, we are here to support the Adir Challenge Foundation. I'm really excited to hear the pitch from the teams and learn from their incredible ideas. It's not just about combating hate. It's about building a future where technology and community come together to create lasting change. Together, we can set a new standard for resilience, creativity, and hope, ensuring that next generation grows up in a world where hate has no safe haven. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Eli Kreisberger, and I'm one of the core team members at the Adir Challenge Foundation, and I'm so thankful for the honor of being able to speak in front of this congregation tonight. Thank you, Liram, for the incredible insights and the work that you do. I am now excited to present to you the moment you have been waiting for, our pitching session where you get to be the sharks. We will have 3 teams present. Each team has 8 minutes, and then our panel of experts will lead a 5-minute Q&A session for each team. Our panel of experts for tonight is composed of Dr. Liram Koblenz-Stenzler, whom you just had the pleasure of meeting, Jenny Sharstein-Kane, Morielle Lotan, Ayelet Richter, and Josh Cohen, whom you can find out more about on our website. Thank you for being with us tonight, and if I could please ask all the judges to come take a seat on the stage. If I could now welcome to the stage Reportify, our first team of the evening.
Report once, everywhere with Reportify. Next slide, please. So before I share our secret sauce, let's meet the faces behind Reportify. My name's Danielle Sopkin. I'm a recent UC Berkeley graduate and co-founder of Reportify. I graduated Berkeley in 3 years and at the age of 20. I now work at JP Morgan Chase as a global finance and business management analyst. But during my time on campus, which wasn't also pleasant, I was a leader at the forefront of innovation and advocacy. I appeared frequently on national news, wrote extensively about campus Jewish social life, and became a trusted voice as a columnist at the Times of Israel. I gained global audiences speaking directly with the President of Israel, President Herzog, and President Pavel of the Czech Republic. But I didn't build Reportify alone, so let me introduce my wonderful co-founder, Chana.
My name is Hannah Levin. I'm a senior studying at Stanford University, computer science, pursuing my master's degree with a specialty in AI. As president of the Stanford Israel Association, I'm at the forefront for fighting anti-Semitism at Stanford. For the last few months, I've been working on getting over 80 non-Jewish students to the NOVA exhibition in LA. And we've raised $60,000 for these trips and hoping to do more. And so for us, for the last 4 years, we keep on seeing people come onto campus and saying, we know what we're doing this time. And it's always people, with all due respect, that have not been in college for decades.
Next slide, please. So the problem we found is twofold. The first is that there's overwhelming procedural complexity in reporting. And the second is that repetitive tasks lead to student burnout. Next slide. So imagine you experience an incident on campus and you're bounced around from portal to portal to portal just to end up exactly where you started with no follow-up and no resolution. There's overwhelming complexity in all of this with scattered resources and no clear guidance, with most students simply not reporting at all. Next slide. Now, during my time on campus as the president of Bears for Israel, I've had the pleasure or displeasure of becoming far too familiar with our reporting portal. In fact, I once submitted over 350 student incidents for students on campus that experienced the rise of anti-Semitism post-October 7th. 350 incidents. Now think about that. You'd imagine that number would trigger at least some sort of response. And you know what we got? Not a single email, not a single follow-up, not a single shred of accountability. Nothing. And that's not a new story. That's not specific to UC Berkeley. The system is broken, and let's go to the next slide, please. Let's read this last part all together. And it reads, the submission of this form on its own does not constitute a formal complaint. So imagine students coming to me on campus, pouring their time, energy, and trust into a system that leaves them completely isolated and vulnerable. Next slide, please.
And so the system is, by design, meant to fail students from the start. But Danielle, why is it that way? Why aren't there other Jewish organizations doing this?
Now imagine, you just submitted one report to your university, and it took, what, 45 minutes? And now you have to report somewhere else. And from the student perspective, I have 2 problem sets due tomorrow, a midterm, everything I have to do for my student organizations and clubs, and you're telling me that on top of that, I have to report to 5, 6 other portals? For students, it just doesn't make sense. The problem of reporting is that it fails to make sense to students. Next slide, please.
So what we've seen is that schools have a monopoly over reporting. They go with power unchecked, and there's no oversight. And so only 20% of reports go to the ADL and solutions like the ADL. And so if the ADL, our greatest ally in fighting anti-Semitism while universities are putting cases under the rug, isn't aware of what's happening, how can they be keeping universities accountable? Next slide, please. And so what we're seeing is the last 4 years is that the current reporting solutions fail the cost-benefit analysis for students. There's there's so much work and they don't get anything out of it. Next slide, please. And so what we're seeing is that nearly 80% of students know how to report but choose not to. Next slide, please.
And this is the underreporting cycle. It starts with students navigating complex levels of bureaucracy, with most students giving up before they even start. Now, for those who persist, they're met with no tangible outcomes, no actions, no results. So obviously, they lose trust in the system, turning to peers rather than authority, and that ultimately ensues burnout. Students don't want to report, and every time they think of reporting, they decide not to. And because of this, we're seeing the disgusting normalization of anti-Semitism with the mindset that this is just how things are. And ultimately, there's no institutional accountability. Because rules are rules, it seems, except when applied to Jewish students. Next slide, please. Now, cue Reportify.
Reportify is a streamlined process of reporting incidents on campus, tracking the responses, and keeping institutions accountable. Next slide, please. So how does it work?
Our solution is the perfect triangulation of automation, accountability, and everything that students are missing on campus. It provides easy incident capture, multi-portal compatibility, and dashboard connectivity. But let's dive into it more. Next slide.
So whether the student wants to write up what happened or dictate the incident, the platform will use generative AI to generate a summarized report, and so then that is now evaluated automatically by the system, looking at local policies, state laws, and seeing what laws were potentially broken, and potentially flagging a lawyer if need be. And then based on that, all the student has to do is click, and it's all of a sudden, it's auto-populated in the portal, and reporting doesn't stop there. You know, the solution is accountability, and so for that, our future versions of our platform will have accountability, tracking the tickets, making sure we know when to follow up. Next slide, please. So here's a really quick overview of the demo. As you can see, you can just quickly fill in the basic details of what happened. Next slide, please. And it will automatically auto-populate the portal. Next slide, please. And so what we're seeing is that all of our competitors, they are addressing individual problems within the cycle of underreporting that we mentioned. Versus Reportify, we address cross-platform reporting, legal support, track the progress of the tickets, and we use AI scaling together. Next slide, please.
And obviously, none of this would have been possible without Adir's support, uniting us with mentorship, guidance, and expertise. And a big shout out to our mentor, Tal, who flew in from Israel to be here today. But it doesn't stop here, and we need your support too. Next slide, please.
So after launching at 10 universities, we're hoping to expand, iterate, and go to 25 additional universities, but it doesn't stop there. Reportify is going to expand to other hate crime reporting spaces, as well as integrating within HR systems. Reportify embeds itself within bureaucratic systems and keeps it accountable. Next slide, please.
But our ultimate goal is to keep Reportify's key features free for students. And in order to do so, we'll have a sustained and scaled model and ultimately moving into new spaces and environments over time. Next slide, please.
And to do that, to scale Reportify, we need to hire software engineers, cloud computing, cloud storage, as well as LLM API calls. And additionally, the information collected is quite sensitive, so we want the best of privacy and legal experts on the team. Perfect. Thank you so much.
We'll now open up to the judges for questions. If you guys could stay on stage for a sec. Yeah, no worries.
Can your solution identify and highlight potentially dangerous areas similar to platforms like crimemapping.com to help Jewish individuals stay informed and avoid locations with higher risks of anti-Semitic activity?
So during my time on campus, I also worked as a data scientist for an organization called Jewish on Campus, and we try to do a very similar model. So basically identify days that are more prone to, let's just say, dangerous activities on campus specifically for Jewish students, and this was drawing from social media, from platforms like Twitter/X, and also just what was going on geospatially in the world, per se. So within our solution, we're also integrating with a similar model of actually understanding day-to-day what's going on. And since we're using Gen AI, we're also scaling our model with each iterative submission. So it's learning on its own, and that's something that we're hoping to expand over time.
Can you clarify how your solution is superior to what ADL are using today as a reporting system?
Yeah, as you saw, the ADL, it's still a lot of work, and it's not just that. You submit it, and oftentimes you don't know what happened to it. There's so many times I've submitted something, never heard anything back. There's no one united platform that, as I mentioned, addresses all of those problems within that cycle of underreporting. There's the burnout, there's making sure what actually happened. We're using AI to actually scale this to make it possible that every single incident can be addressed and we know where it went. Not just, oh, I sent it and maybe something might happen. There needs to be accountability. You know, reporting is the first step, but for true accountability, we need to track the ticket, as I mentioned.
And also just to add on very quickly, the key feature of Reportify is that it stores your incident. And through data and surveys that we've done, we've seen that with every incremental incident or with every report that you submit, you're actually losing data over time, because who has the memory to retain something that happened to you that's traumatic? You don't want to keep going through those memories. So Reportify, you initially submit your incident and it stores it. So you can cross-populate through many platforms. So although ADL is a great way to submit, it doesn't actually tackle the burnout, the exhaustion, the over-reporting.
Actually have a few more minutes for questions for you guys, so I'm going to be asking you some questions that the community submitted. How does your system know if the incident is real or not?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
If the incident is real or not.
So because we're using a lot of security features, whenever you're setting up your account, you're going through dual authorization, you're setting up credentials, student emails. It's a very thorough process. So not just anyone can get onto the platform. You need to have a .edu email, which is certified through basically any university.
And what are the ways that you'll be able to get this message to the students and disseminate your product?
Yeah, so Danny and I are actually part of many group chats of the top leaders testifying in Congress, and we have an army full of students ready to use the tool. I mean, I think it's a very common trend in all our group chats is like people send it on the WhatsApp. It goes somewhere, but there's no tracking part of it. So we have many students who are looking for a tool to make sure there's accountability, and so we have 100 students ready for that.
We've also had the pleasure to be a part of many different fellowships and programs throughout our 4 years or 3 years on college. So we have a very thorough and robust network of students on campus, and they're leaders that they left on campus now to follow in their footsteps and help us with getting this across different campuses.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reportify, for the presentation and for answering the questions. We will now welcome to the stage our second team presenting tonight, OCT7, who will be joining us via Zoom from Israel.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me. And I apologize that I can't be with you there. My name is Omer Dagan. I served 30 years in the IDF. My last role as a brigadier general was the head of large technology unit, almost 5,000 soldiers, and stepped down a few months before OCT7, and then decided after October 7th that my next mission in life will be to fight hate and combat anti-Semitism, and I'm here to present OCT7 Community Operating System. Next, please. So as Morielle mentioned, we're losing the fight over public opinion. Next, please. And why we're losing? Next, please. Because public opinion is not just, but it's also a numbers game, and we are outnumbered, and we need to find a solution to deal with it. Next, please. And we can take one example, although we had so many, and before the IDF started maneuver in Rafah, the other side kind of prepared with a huge campaign, All Eyes on Rafah, and when the IDF started, they kind of moved it all around the world in a few hours with their technology and numbers of people and all the preparation they did before and for many years, even before. Next, please. And we need to find a way to beat this. Next, please. And as I mentioned, we're outnumbered, but we know from our past, from the 6 Days War and many other occasions in the Jewish history that we can beat the other side even if we are outnumbered. Next, please. And the thing that we think that going to work and actually is starting to work lastly, is the combination between people. We do have our people and a great people, and a very good and high-end technology using AI, generative AI, to do all of it in some coordinated way. So we take our outnumbered people, but with high-end technology, we can coordinate to a very effective effort and make a huge impact. Next, please. And we think that the most effective way to coordinate people is, next please, communities. And the Jewish people knows how to work in communities. You are in community right now in a synagogue, and we have communities in synagogues, in the universities, in our towns, in our cities, in all around the world. And this is our, I would say, secret sauce of the Jewish people, communities. Next, please. So we're introducing the OCT7 community operating system. Next, please. And what we are offering is for first, a back office platform for community leaders to manage their community, to understand what is happening around them and in social media, and then transform it into campaigns. And the campaigns is basically call to actions to people to do things in social media and not just in social media. I can ask people to send an email, call a lawmaker, attend a rally, whatever. I want people to do things we're asking them to do in some coordinated way. Next, please. And the members, the participants, will have a very easy mobile app. In one place, they will see all the things we're asking them to do or to participate in. In a very easy way, they will be able to do all of those, and they will have the sense of a community. I can see what others are doing. I have a community leader inform me what is happening. I can understand what we are going to achieve together right now. I'm kind of working together in my community. I'm not alone in front of this huge movement from the other side. I'm not kind of in a huge email list that I can find myself in. I'm a part of a community. We're working together. We're doing something good together. And this is our way to bring people to work for long term. Next, please. And what we will achieve by that is, first of all, we will be able to use a big impact in social media together. Second, we will be able to counterattack all the propaganda from the other side. We will have our communities ready to mobilize. So once we need them to do something and not just the things I just mentioned, we will be able to do so with them. And we are working very hard with playbook training and many other mechanisms to find the leaderships in our communities. This is actually our way to scale, to find people they want to do more, and they can open a new communities, be the next community leaders. We are helping them with the training, and in the first period they're doing it, and they are opening more and more communities, and we are doing more and more by that. Next, please. And this is for everyone, for small communities, for large communities, for grassroots, for influencers that mobilize community, for the big organization. This is for everyone. We want to bring all the Jewish people, all our supporters, to use the same platform, and then we will be able to do huge things together and make a big impact. Next, please. And we're already making an impact. I think we move too fast, but we're already making an impact. We have 35,000 people using our technology in 70 countries, more than 200 communities in 20 languages, and we're already doing it. This is our team. I spoke about myself. I will just say a word about Alan. Alan Feld is our head of the board, is leading one of the biggest venture capitals in Israel, and is very involved in our initiatives, in others, and he's helping us a lot. Next, please. And we need to scale it in order to make even bigger impact. And we need funding, and we need more and more communities to onboard the platform, and we need to spread the word. Next, please. And a very, very, very warm word to Adir. I think since we are working with you guys, we got very good directions, and you are helping us and building ecosystem and connecting us to communities and helping us with funding. So this is another opportunity to say huge thanks. Next, please. And Einstein said it much better than I do. I think we need to find a way to bring many, many people to do what we need them to do right now. And this is our way to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Oct 7. I'll now open up for questions to the judges.
Here we go. Clearly, we are outnumbered, and the other side has technology which is controlling the narrative. In what ways is October 7th part of shifting the narrative at scale?
So as I mentioned, we think that, first of all, we need to bring more people to the platform because we have many people that are not doing enough or not doing anything at all right now. Once we will have enough people, communities, organizations, we are working on the coordination between them. And then we won't see very small initiatives in social media. We will see one big impact in social media that we are going to do together. And this is our way to be the other side. They're doing a lot. They're doing it good, unfortunately. But we think that with our people, communities, the technology, leveraging AI, generative AI, with many mechanisms and tools to help us to be much more efficient, we can beat them.
Can you walk us through how the money you will raise will drive impact and how you plan to measure that impact? Am I not on? Is that better? Can you walk us through how the money you will raise will drive impact and how you plan to measure that impact?
Yes, first of all, we're kind of putting the money in two things. First of all is developing the platform, and we have a few talents from Israel. Some of them served under my command in the IDF, and they're brilliant. And second, we have a team of community experts who help communities, organizations, influencers to onboard the platform, build their communities, manage it, and so on. And the impact we're measuring it in two ways. One of them is what we're doing, how many call to actions people are really doing. And this is one thing that we can do in the platform and we can do when we send people tasks in Telegram and WhatsApp and emails. We don't understand what we're really doing and we are not doing it together. And second, we're really focusing on measuring the impact in social media, not just what we did, but what is the impact that we're really doing.
Thank you, Oct 7, for your pitch.
Thank you.
I will now welcome SOT's Support on the Spot to the stage, our third and final team of the evening, who will be joining us again from Israel via Zoom.
Hello, everyone. I feel very privileged to be here. My name is Lotan Weinberg. I couldn't make it physically because for the past 2 months I'm in the Gaza Strip in combat mission, tracing terror and protecting the kibbutzim. I had overcalled 250 days of military of Miluim in the past year. Despite the distance and the different challenges, our struggles are much closer than it seems. Today, Jews all over the world have a shared reality. We have intrusive thoughts born from the difficult circumstances of October 7th. When my young daughter is afraid of missiles, and a friend with his child is walking on the street in Boston and seeing a swastika on the road, we both feel lonely, we both feel helplessness, and we need support. I want to share a personal story. After months in Jenin, it was about 10 months ago, months of combat in Jenin, I had it very hard to get back to life. I work as my work is building support communities around life-disrupting illnesses and challenges. In the past year, we were working in the Otef with kibbutzim, but I had nightmares. I had it very hard to get back to life, but it wasn't bad enough to go seek therapy. It just didn't feel right to seek therapy. I called my friend and my partner, tech leader and psychologist Pavel. He was a good listening ear. I called Yara Yeshurun, which leads the issue of mental health challenges and guiding parents. And she helped me focus. She helped me feel safe. She asked me all kinds of questions to help me feel safe. She taught me how to breathe. And that was enough to regain control and to get back to day-to-day life. And what we understood there, we had some talks after that, we understood that people are going through hard waves, hard challenges. What they need support on the spot. They need mental support on the spot that will be there for them. So we called our initiative Thoughts. It's a gaming of intrusive thoughts. It brings in the SOS element inside it. And that's the question and the challenge we're trying to answer. A few weeks later, I had to talk to Morielle. Morielle is a leading expert in startups and innovation, and she told me about the Adir challenge and said, you know, what you're describing in the mental level. Please skip to the next two slides. I was focused in what you're describing is very close to what students are feeling here. And I had some talks with family in Toronto, in Cleveland, and people say, you know, we do feel lonely, we do feel helplessness, and we know that the research is that when someone is lonely and helpless, that's the biggest indicator for a rising of a trauma and for not being able to get back to work and to life. Now, please, next slide, please. When we're trying to think of it in terms of universities, but not only universities, also Jewish communities, maybe Jewish communities that aren't in a bit further away, we're not trying to focus on changing the way institutes work. We're not trying to shorter the line to therapy. What we're trying to do is to create a support on the spot for the Jewish student or the Jewish or for the Jew that his identity is maybe a bit more uncertain, and he needs help right there and right then. Next slide, please. What did we do? We developed a platform. It's already developed. It's developed on a wearable, but it doesn't have to be on a wearable. It could connect to any smartwatch or to any phone. We could created an app that's activated by blood pressure, by pulse, or by just pressing a call. I walk on the road, I see a swastika. My lectures compares between the Holocaust. Says the Holocaust is happening today and it's happening in Israel, and I'm the only Jewish student in class. And I feel intimidated. I feel alone, and then I press the button. Two things happen. The first thing is that there's a call to the circles of support, to all the people that are on the platform. Soon I'll answer how they connect to the platform, and they get a message that invites them to help me, to send me a message, also sometimes crafted by AI to send the right message to support me. But until they support me, the app helps me focus, helps me focus, get the right insights, because sometimes what we need the right message at the right time that helps us focus, and we could do that today with AI and technology. So these two things help us gain the control in those 2 to 5 crucial minutes. And once we have that, and we don't feel alone, that's the entry to moving from shame and blame in my identity to being part of a stronger community. Next slide, please. What we're trying to do is really to create a kind of a revolution. We're trying to walk from the personal level, from the shame and the blame. I'm talking. You're sitting in a synagogue, and this combines also Chanukah and Purim. That the idea of someone that's ashamed of his identity, and the only thing that we know that helps more than everything is bringing people together, regaining the pride, and then going out to the public sphere. Okay, that's the most important side of what we're trying to do, and this goes from the mental challenges that we know that happen with the loneliness and helplessness, until the combining and getting together with the community. And the AI is a very important role, because the AI that comes together with friendship, with someone that knows the right word to say and not the wrong word to say at the right time, the AI could help me be a better friend. Okay. Next slide, please. What do we want to do? Our impact plan is to integrate with 2 hubs, 2 communities, 1 community and 1 campus that do feel that they need to reconnect their community, give tools to the wide circles of the Jewish community that are in their geographic area, and launch in a very meaningful way that gives this tool to all students. Okay, once we do that, we'll be able to disseminate to wider communities and give this tool to communities abroad that need to rebuild the pride of the pride and the support for Jewish individuals and communities. Next slide, please. Of course, the Adir, none of this wouldn't have happened without the insight of understanding that what we have is probably very relevant for challenges of anti-Semitism and the feelings the Jews have. Next slide, please. And we're seeking, we are aiming for impact roadshow, for impact campaign. What we want to do is to connect with 2 communities and refacilitate the messaging and make it and design it together with students on campus, with the communities, making the right messages, and making this a tool to combine and support people in hard times on one hand, and on the other hand, building the community to be much stronger and a much safer place for Jews. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Support on the spot, and the floor is now open to questioning from the judges.
I'll go first, yeah. As part of your effort, are you trying to bring on board not only Jews who are a minority, but push forward for unity and collaboration with non-Jews?
So, the thing is that the first protocol of support it works in a specific area. Okay, if I would intersectionality might not always work in these kind of fields, so we have to create a safe space. So we want to work. If we're going to work on campus, for example, we're going to partner with grassroots organizations or organizations as Hillel that will bring us the first circle of supporters. From then on, it could grow wider and wider. But this tool could work for various needs. But the safe spot of the community, that's something that does have a center to it. So we do believe that non-Jews could be on the platform as supporters. But our first aim here does have to do with the hatred against Jews and anti-Semitism.
Did you formulate any type of go-to-market strategy for SOTs?
Yeah, we actually have today 5 different partnerships working in Israel and abroad. Most of them are in mental fields, things that have to do with addictives, things that have to do with trauma. Mindfulness. Our main model of work and impact is B2B2C when we engage with the organizations or with organizations or communities. They want to create their own protocol of support by connecting between the community and the individual. I'll say another word about that. The thing is that the community organization has trust. Okay, no one knows what SOTS is. No one knows bringing a new idea, a new technology to the edge is very hard. But good Jewish organizations and communities have their reputation and have their audience, and once they use technology to make their community better and to make the connection, that's the way we want to work. So So we see ourselves as white labels, as the creators of the language and of the way to work, and we help them connect, but we're not the boots on the ground. We don't. The community members know the community better than anyone else, and we're very, very flexible in creating the protocol of support and adjusting it to the specific need.
Thank you, Sas, for your presentation.
Okay.
Well done to all the teams in person and in Israel. We will now begin the voting process. I will now invite Rabbi Berman to walk you through the voting process. If the judges could now join Morielle off stage.
Well, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. After all of those incredible presentations and opportunities for us to really impact the world around us, it's now your turn to weigh in. I asked you to keep your cell phones close. We're going to ask you to go now to menti.com, menti.com. This website, a voting website, will allow you to enter the code that is specific to our event tonight, and then we'll take you through 6 questions that will help you evaluate what you've heard tonight. We're not asking just one question. The who do you think should get the money? That's the final question. But before that, we want your input on who has identified the problem clearly, who has named an innovative solution, other questions about what these teams may have done very well. Your feedback is going to help them improve their pitches and improve their product moving forward. So please take a moment. If you need some help, if you need any tech support, just raise your hand. We have staff members throughout the space who will be walking up and down the aisles who can help you connect to the websites. We do want you to answer all 6 of our questions, and we will take a few moments for your voting now. I know we have one more slide here. So we will get you all connected to these sites, but just to reintroduce, just to remind you of what each of our teams taught us tonight. You have 3 teams that you are considering. The first, Reportify, who joined us here in the room, thank you so much, are talking about automating and centralizing the process of reporting anti-Semitic incidents on campus, empowering students to hold their institutions accountable for their safety. We also heard on Zoom from Act 7 Community OS, who streamlines community building and fighting anti-Semitic propaganda through unified action. And then our third group, SOTS, Support on the Spot, again, who joined us through Zoom. They combine AI-driven personalization and community action to provide immediate emotional and practical support to individuals in distress. So now that we have revisited the 3 teams and the 3 projects, I'm going to ask us to go to the previous slide where we can re-access the website and the code. We'll take a few minutes for our voting, and remember, if you need tech support, just wave your hand and one of us will come over.
First of all, thank you, Morielle, for bringing this to the Central community. We're really honored that you did and that you're with us tonight. So I'm in charge, I guess, of telling who won. But first of all, I just want to note that all of the participants tonight through this platform are getting a lot of the support and the help. And we encourage everyone in the Central community and beyond that if you have ideas of ways to help the participants to let us know, and we will help make the connections. But the winner of $10,000 for tonight, based on the tally of the votes that we have viewed, is Reportify. So congratulations.
Where are they? Congratulations. Okay. Well, this was an honor and a privilege to be here with you tonight. It's a snippet of what we're doing at the foundation. This is one cluster of technologies and innovations that are focused on college campuses. There are much deeper, more complicated technologies that if those are of interest to you and you might want to be involved, please speak to us. And then there are entrepreneurship courses, as I mentioned, and a whole many opportunities of ways to be involved. I want to say that I stopped everything I was doing and have been doing this 6 days a week for since last October. And in the beginning, it was very difficult to explain to people what innovating the combat of anti-Semitism meant. I hope that you leave here tonight understanding a little bit more about what it means. None of this would be possible without support from donors. It's completely funded by people like yourselves and organizations that get it. But money isn't the only way to be involved. Time, which also equals money, is another way. So if you have the time to mentor one of our teams, to mentor us, we're a startup that is obviously has many things, many ways to grow. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you spreading the word, hosting a parlor meeting. Anything that you feel you can do is welcomed. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We all appreciate it very much, and I look forward to speaking to you downstairs. Where does everyone go? I think, yeah, okay. You'll tell us where everyone goes. Thank you.
Well, that was an extraordinary evening, and thank you so much for being part of it. We are not done yet. There is time for refreshments and conversation. Please join us downstairs in our pavilion space for a short reception. You can reach the pavilion through the doors at the back of the sanctuary, taking the stairs down, or the elevator through the door to the back right.